NFL Live, where we start today's show with some breaking news out of Pittsburgh. Maybe the news we've all been waiting for. For that, we bring in NFL Network's lead insider, Ian Rappaport. Ian, what's going on today with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?
Well, one of the NFL's longest-running dramas, and you covered plenty of the drama right there, could soon be over. Here's my understanding of where the situation stands with free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He is expected to fly to Pittsburgh in the next 24 hours and can continue conversations with Steelers brass, with Steelers players. And my understanding is it is likely that Aaron Rodgers plays football next year and plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, he has had conversations with teammates. He's had conversations with receivers. He's had conversations with the fellow quarterbacks on his team, all leading to optimism that he should play. And I am told finality to his situation is coming soon. Could be this weekend, could be early next week, all possible, but that is the plan. Now, this is not the end of the road, guys. There is no contract in place. They have not had an agreement in terms on what Rodgers is going to make. He's currently scheduled to make $15 million under the UFA tender. We'll see if he's willing to play for that. So that should come in the next several days. But it is likely that Aaron Rodgers, at long last, will join the Steelers at a point very soon.
Likely, not yet finalized. We'll take it at this point, given the way this story has been playing out or not playing out throughout the offseason. Steelers got 16 games worth of Aaron Rodgers last season, and he finished 23rd in the league in total QBR. Ball came out quickly, but it didn't go far. He was 27th in the league in yards per attempt last season. Rodgers turns 43 years old in December, hasn't won a playoff game since the divisional round of the NFC playoffs back in January of 2021. So that is where we begin NFL Live today. I'm Dan Graziano, joined by Jason McCourty, as well as Andrew Hawkins and Ian Rappaport, who you already heard from. J-Mac, let's dive right in here. Yeah. What are your expectations for this Steelers team if, in fact, Rodgers is back?
It'll be much like what we saw a season ago, where they're going to be playoff contenders. They're going to be in the conversation, and Aaron Rodgers is going to lead them in some capacity to get there. Now, you're looking at it and you're saying, all right, we get Rodgers back. Is this team going to be able to get over the hump? Are they going to be able to win that playoff game, get to the divisionals, potentially be contenders in the AFC? I don't see it going that far, but I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers have backed themselves into this corner where, as of today, Aaron Rodgers gives them the best chance to win football games over Will Howard, over Drew Aller. So bringing him back makes the most sense for this team right now. Not only does he help them win games, Gross, but he also is an example in that quarterback room of what Will Howard and Drew Aller should look like, what it looks like communicating with Mike McCarthy to be able to find success on the football field.
Absolutely. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the bridge to whatever the next era of Pittsburgh Steelers football looks like, for that exact reason you just talked about, J-Mac. And so now that we have him in the building, and that's the foregone conclusion, if you look at what the Steelers have done this offseason, they have already been planning for that to be the case. So I'm sure they're happy to put a button on it, but they drafted with that in mind. They approached free agency with that in mind. And for Aaron Rodgers, who we typically debate and say, okay, is he going to go to off season? Is he going to be at voluntary workouts? It's important to get him in the building this year more than ever, because they brought in Michael Pittman Jr., they drafted Jeremy Bernard, right? And you mix those with DK Metcalf, and looking at the weapons that they have offensively, on top of a new coaching staff, on top of a new play caller, like, it's very important for them to get that chemistry down now so that they can hit the ground running in the fall, because the expectation is that they'll take a step forward with the pieces that they've added this offseason.
Yeah, it certainly is the hope, and having Mike McCarthy, who really seems always to have a top-tier offense. Obviously, you want Rodgers to come in and hit the ground running. A couple quick points here. First of all, it does seem like that familiarity has already started to happen with Rodgers and some of his new receivers. That is a good thing. The other thing is, he has played in this system before. It's not going to be exactly like it was when Mike McCarthy was with the Green Bay Packers and Rodgers was there and they were winning and all of that. But certainly the language is enough to where he can come in, a couple OTAs, a little mandatory minicamp, hit the ground running for training camp, and your guys are right. This should be a team that is very good and maybe takes a step forward from where they were last year. And having Aaron Rodgers in the fold, finally, at long last, like they hoped would happen, should only help that.
and they will be trying to defend an AFC North title from last year. One of the teams that's going to be trying to catch them is the Cincinnati Bengals, and they had a familiar face in the building today as Joe Burrow, their quarterback, showed up for voluntary workouts. Burrow coming off a year in which he played just 8 games because of a turf toe injury, and Cincinnati missed the playoffs for the 3rd consecutive season. Burrow has a couple new teammates, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Cincinnati traded the 10th overall pick in last month's draft to the Giants for defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence. Also boosted their pass rush with former Seahawks defensive end Boye Mafe, and added a pair of veteran safeties to a defense that gave up the 3rd most passing touchdowns last year. Ian, what more can you tell us about this offseason and the way it's unfolded for the Bengals?
Yeah, first of all, great sign to have QB1 in the building. Sounds to me like he was also in the building last week, but just to see the photos of him enjoying himself, a lot of positivity toward the Cincinnati Bengals from Joe Burrow. And don't just take my word for it. He also was quoted recently in Vanity Fair saying he was excited to see the initiative of the Cincinnati Bengals front office. And look, it is a big year, huge year for so many people inside the Cincinnati Bengals building. And they really have gone all in. And it's not just the trade for Dexter Lawrence, which clearly is something that Joe Burrow has supported and appreciated. You mentioned some of the defensive starters, at least 3, Boye Mafe, one of them. I mean, they have spent a lot of money and helped this defense. You know, we spent last year so much of the offseason talking about Joe Burrow's weapons and whether they're going to get new deals and all that. This offseason was about the defense, making a complete team. It is very clear QB1 is fully on board with this. And you mentioned the health. He's been playing flag football, took the Pro Bowl pretty seriously. This is a very good version of Joe Burrow.
Hawk, so given all of that, how much confidence do you have in the Bengals after all these offseason moves?
Sneaky contender, man. I think when you look at what Joe Burrow does for this team, right, it's everyone understands it. Their offense has always been the thing that has made the Cincinnati Bengals go. But in recent years, their defense is all we've talked about. Well, now Joe Burrow gets to play behind probably the best offensive line that he has in his career. And then when you look at what they did on defense, where there's been mixed reviews, like, did they do enough? Yes, they addressed the front 4, specifically that defensive line. But I think it's like an accelerator to what you're going to get on levels 2 and 3. DJ Turner II played at a Pro Bowl level last year. I think he was a snub. Dax Hill came on strong late last year. They now signed Brian Cook at safety. And the idea is that because of what they've done with the defensive line, he talked about Dexter Lawrence, and they even drafted Cassius Howell, who likely kicks to the second level, that you've done enough to get this defense twice as good as they've been, maybe even more, and so much so that their offense with T. Higgins, with Jamar Chase Brown, you name it, they're going to be able to click and get the full capabilities with the defense that is more than adequate.
You said it, Hawk. This is the best defense Joe Burrow is going to have since 2021 when he was playing in the Super Bowl. Al Golden, the defensive coordinator, will now be in his 2nd year, and they went out and got players to fit his system. That, to me, is a big deal. The trade for Dexter Lawrence is huge because the segment ago, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it feels like insanity because they keep doing the same thing over and over again. Well, for the Bengals, they changed it up. They made a huge trade, trading away the number 10 pick to get a guy like Dexter Lawrence. They went out there and signed a pair of defensive players that have Super Bowl victories in their past, and Boye Mafe with the Seattle Seahawks and Byron Cook, too, with the Kansas City Chiefs. So now you're bringing a veteran leadership to this team, and it all starts and ends with Joe Burrow. He's going to have to lead this team, and you need a quarterback that can do both. He can show up to the Met Gala and stun with an amazing suit, and then he can show up for all-season workouts on Monday and be ready to go. That is Joe Burrow, and I have high hopes for this Bengals team this season.
Yeah, I thought my suit game was sweet. Then I see Joe Burrow at the Met Gala. It's like, all right, I think we all have a little bit of work to do. As far as the Cincinnati Bengals defense, I want to call attention to this a little bit because when the Bengals season ended last year, obviously did not end like anybody wanted. The defense was pretty rough. And so there's so much conversation about, all right, is Dak Taylor going to fire Al Golden? He decided, you know what? Not only that, we're going to keep everyone essentially in place because if you look at the numbers, especially the last month or so, 6 weeks of the season, this defense actually got better. Players started to pick it up, started to make more tackles, started to stop teams a little more, kind of getting to that point where it was basically an average defense. And if you have an average defense, or maybe a little better considering what they brought in, and you have Joe Burrow, this could be an excellent, excellent team this season.
Only team in their division that did not change head coaches this offseason. So Bengals running it back and hoping it'll be better. We are just getting started today on NFL Live. Veteran